back.
We're back.
It is episode 171 of the Metal Roundtable. I am Metal Rob, and with me today, we've got a shitload of characters today. But that also includes, as always, the great. Where are you? Right
there he is.
Yep, Carcass John.
And also.
And today I am Scott Bridge over Troubled Waters.
Oh, gosh.
But nobody gives a shit about that. What we're here for today are the two fellows over on the side of your screen. At least they're on the side of my screen. I don't know how
they are on the side.
We have got from Stonetrip the great Richo and Mick. Thank you, boys, for being here. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, man, it took us a couple of weeks to kind of iron this out because Richo was pretty sick one week. We were going to do it, and then Scott got pretty sick last week, and so we just scrapped it. But here we are, and thank you again so much for being with us. I'm very, very excited about this today.
Thanks for having us, mate. It's
cool. We're wrapped.
Great to be here.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. So we met Richo before on episode 86, I think. I think.
How has it been that long?
It has been that long.
Oh, amazing.
Now we've got Mick with us, and we are going to talk all things Stonetrip. We're going to talk all things the brand new album, the label Golden Robot Records, and we're going to share this far and wide and continue to support the band. I'll give you a very quick history of how I found out about these guys if you haven't seen episode 86 when they were on before. I do an internet radio show, the Metal Rob Show on Deep Dallas Radio on Fridays, followed by The Crypt featuring that guy. And a couple of years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago, I got an MP3 dropped in my mailbox from Brad. And apparently Con, the drummer, had been sending out, MP3s, seeing if they could, gain some traction with, radio and whoever. And I sat on the song for weeks. I didn't play it, didn't even open the email. I had a backlog of stuff, and I finally listened to it, and it was the demo version of Sideways. And I was like, wait a minute. This is fucking killer. And so one thing led to another. We had them on the show. You guys did a 7-inch with a couple songs on it. You did the EP on Golden Robot a couple years ago, but right now we got the full length. Tell us about kind of the progression of the band since, the EP. You guys have been busy as hell.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, thanks for having us too, guys. We're wrapped to have a chat again. Yeah, we have been busy. It was a bit of a process getting the album done in between COVID and stuff, but we managed to get that done through a lot of grind and hard work and persistence. We managed, once we got free, we managed to get out a few really, really good shows with some great Australian bands that we were lucky enough to tour with. Rose Tattoo, we did a couple of shows with.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we got on the end of the Screaming Jets tour as well over here, who are a huge band. And it's just been rolling ever since. So we've done a lot of little shows in between. We're about to launch the album, hopefully. We're just looking for the right venue to launch it, and we're so excited because the feedback we've been getting and stuff from reviews and blogs and things like that is it's just pure motivation, especially for the band to keep moving on, and Mick and I especially is to write. It's just so inspirational to know that people are sort of digging the tune. So it's great. It's great fodder for us to keep doing what we do and have some belief in what we do. So yeah, it's onwards and upwards, and we're super busy, and we can't wait to sort of get out of Melbourne and sort of get overseas and come and see you guys and go and stop in Europe and take this motherfucker for as far as it'll go.
Yeah, that's going to be outstanding. So I got an advance of the album probably 2 weeks before it came out. I think it came out on March 10th. Is that correct?
Yeah,
March 10th. So it's been out in digital form since then. And I got to hear all 13 tracks a couple weeks before it came out. So what I will say to anybody listening is if you like this, just add about 8 songs to that are equally as kick-ass, and you've got Run Free. So
Yeah.
I highly encourage you. I was telling the guys before we came on, we talked for about half an hour before we went live, and I was telling them that in the last 10 years, a couple of bands have really stuck in my head when I found out about them. And I'm talking to you guys now, and I saw the other one on Friday night. That's the Winery Dogs have just absolutely embedded themselves in my psyche. But the other was Stonetrip, and I'm not just blowing sunshine up your skirt. When I heard the first song, I loved it. I've been with it ever since. And so I hope you guys do 25 albums.
Oh, wow. So do we.
I'm
Yeah,
stoked,
so do we.
man.
Well, look, to draw that comparison is unbelievable. But both Mick and I are huge Winery Dog fans. Richie Kotzen, I've got a bit of a fanboy crush on. So, but yeah, they are just great players, and they're amazing, amazing 3-piece band. I still can't get over. One of my favourite songs is Elevate. I just love that tune. It just takes me to a different place. So, yeah, to put us in that category,
Well, yeah, it's just, you like what you like, and a band hits you, and you guys just totally crushed me whenever I heard it. I was like, oh my gosh, you're gonna throw out these heavy rockers, Sideways and Scare Me and all that, and then a little different vibe with Nightmare, and then the acoustic ballad with Angel, and then the videos, and Golden Robot seems to be propping you up. How did you get hooked up with Golden Robot, and tell us about how they're taking care of you guys?
Well, it was a good association, actually. A representative, Golden Robot, Kim Bensick, she came to see the band one night and loved the band, and we got talking to her, and she came to see the band again and loved the band even more, and hooked us up with Golden Robot. And it was the same sort of thing, Rob. The Golden Robot, Mark from Golden Robot, initially when he heard it, he kind of didn't like it. He was like, oh, what's this? And then he heard it. Kimmy pushed him a few times, and he heard it a couple more times, and he just fell in love with it, fell in love with the band, and it's been nothing but good to us ever since, So it's helped us through. The fact, like we were saying before, prior to the interview, that, you're getting all our info and stuff, and they're sending stuff through representing us is just everything a band wants. So, onwards and upwards for Golden Robot. We're looking forward to getting the vinyl out of this thing when it comes out. There's just a bit of a backlog for vinyl, but the vinyl concept, the vinyl concept is unbelievable. The artwork and stuff, even with the CD when that comes out, which we'll have on, I think, the 30th of March. That's available. The physical copy of that, so we'll get one of those over to you for sure. But the artwork and stuff, we got the best art guy to do it. We had the best producer on it, and well, in our eyes anyway, Ian Ritter is an unbelievable photographer, brand artist. He's amazing, does some amazing work. And Ricky Ray, who produced the album, is, well, it's hard for us to go anywhere else now. So, but yeah, we're just really looking forward to getting that album out and going and touring it, because we're so proud of not just the content of the album, but the pop of it. It just looks amazing. So we're just really, really happy. So we've got we can't wait to back it up.
Yeah, it's going to be, I was telling the wife the other day, or I was asking her, hey, would you ever consider vacationing in Australia? And she said, yeah, of course, we could go see this and that and do all these things. And I said, well, there's one reason I'm going to Australia first and foremost, and it's going to be to see Stonetrip. Then we can go on vacation. So,
well, cool. You can go and stay with Mick. He'll corrupt you.
I love it. That's what I need to do, good corrupting. Like I'm not corrupted by these guys. Yeah, jump in, Carcass. It looks like you were going to say something.
No, I was just curious about, I know you guys have played in other bands and been around the scene for a long, long time. Obviously a veteran crew, almost like an all-star conglomeration. So, how long have you been playing, and what did it take to put Stonetrip together in the same room where you decided that, yeah, these are the 5 guys that I want to make a bunch of records with. And then a secondary question, because you said it, when are you hitting the road and getting across the pond, the very big pond? And believe me, we've hosted many a debut party right here at the Casa de Carcass, and I know that would be small potatoes, but Rob and I talk about it all the time. Wouldn't that be cool to have Stonetrip come over here? And
Oh, we're coming.
so what put the band together, and how long have y'all been playing? And then what are the future plans, obviously, because obviously when you have a great record, like you said, you want to share it with the world. And the best way to do that, I think, is playing it live. So I'll let you take the ball and run with it.
All right. Well, I'll start that off. Well, Mick and I have been playing together in bands for 30 years. So we're great mates. We've done a lot of writing over the years sporadically, done a bit of this, done a bit of that. But look, if we're in all honesty, we probably spent too much time making money out of cover bands than concentrating on what we should have been doing. And anyway, the last time Mick and I did some recording together down in Melbourne, we did about 4 or 5 tracks, I think. And in typical fashion, we just had a party, got off our head, couldn't even remember what the fuck we did. But anyway, I had a listen a couple of weeks later. I just sort of had a listen back to what we'd sort of done, and it blew me off my chair. I was like, really? So this was a little bit more than just an off-your-face jam. So I got in contact with Mick and I said, hey, buddy, you need to have a listen to these songs that we sort of roughly recorded, and because I think they're worth something. And Mick went back and had a listen to them, and we rang me back pretty much straight away and said, mate, this is it. It's sort of our calling. We didn't plan for this to happen, what's happened, but we made a pact pretty much from that moment, Mick and I, and said, look, if we're going to do this, let's have one last go at it, and let's do it to the best of our ability. Let's get the musos we want, which we sort of handpicked, and try and form that little family element of a band that makes it what it is. I suppose if I was going to draw any comparison to that sort of communication and that sort of tightness within a friendship, not just a band, you probably, and I don't want to have a conversation about it because we'll go for 10 hours, but Rush were the band to do that, to have that sort of almost family conglomerate that was more important than anything that made the music. So we sort of ran with that, and we just kept writing, and Mick and I Mick would bring over some riffs because we were inspired, and we just kept writing, and Mick was throwing the riffs out, and we'd get together on a Friday over my place and rewrite, and we'd sit there and have a bit of a party between us, and before we knew it, I was just oozing out lyrics of probably all of my relationships, most of them, if you read the lyrics, and probably Mick's unbelievable aggressive rock and roll guitar has probably brought a lot of the dynamic out of that I think we get the hard edge rock out of it element that everybody loves, but it's also got that sort of sweet bit of almost heartfelt melody lyric content in it. So we're not too sure what we're doing, to be honest with you, in terms of writing, but we just keep writing. So we've got a whole bunch of new songs that we've written as well that are fantastic. But
it was all from that wild night, when we demoed the first few songs on the EP, like while we were partying. So we're at a mate's studio, which I kind of run now, and we just got together. It's just beers and like a chat and stuff, and out comes the guitars at the end of it, and oh yeah, this sounds good. Put it down, still partying and drinking, and I forgot all about the tracks. As Richard said, we kind of he listened to it, a couple of days later or a week later, whatever. And then when it come to me, I thought, mate, this is actually pretty cool. It's actually good. I forgot all about the jam, like as you do, kind of hanging, with hangovers and stuff like that. I just forgot all about it. But when I did listen to it, it was too good to just kind of leave, And we thought, as you said, let's get this band together, give it one more crack, You know,
What
and
was do you remember what the song or songs were that you guys jammed? Did they actually turn out on the album?
yeah,
did.
it was Sideways was one of them. Nightmare.
Okay.
Wild Hearted Son.
Wild Hearted Son.
Yeah, and then there was a couple others we did too that just didn't kind of generate into the band. But they're, you know, that's not to say they can't come back. But those three initial songs were the ones. Especially, look, for me, it was Nightmare. From a writer's point of view and a lyrical point of view, that for me it was Nightmare. Nightmare was a bit of a realization for me personally as a writer, because I read it back and it actually, I was like, wow, you know, I had this subliminal thing coming out of me that I didn't even realize that I was kind of dealing with, you know, in my own head. So, and it just sort of made me think that you can write a song. So
Well, the song that I wanted to ask about, because I am into the lyrics. I'm very in tune to that kind of thing. What was your headspace about Nightmare? Because that's the specific song that I actually wanted to ask. And because I was going to say, hey, man, I don't want to get personal, but was this about you, or was this about a friend, or is it something that you overcame? Or I was always curious about the words to that song.
it was a lot of things, really. It kind of wrote itself. Like, it was just kind of how I was feeling at the time. But you know, the opening line, I've been dreaming in my sleep. I've been psychotic for a week. You know, I think we're all the same. I think the thing about that tune is that the lyric content in it, I think subliminally everybody goes through that.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it just depends what you do to deal with it, you know. So
Right.
it's a nightmare, you know, is something that it was. I guess it came down from deep down inside, you know. The pills, it's just trying to deal with all the shit that gets thrown in front of you, and you got to keep a smile on your face, you know, and you deal with it. And I think the stuff that people go through silently in their own bedroom, in their own time, is something that nobody else could understand except that person. But yet it's so relative to the rest of the population because we all feel it, but it's kind of like nobody says it, you know? So, yeah, that's kind of where that song came from. But it just rolled off so well. The chorus in it just hit me, you know?
Yeah.
All those pills beside my bed and stuff like that. And, you know, look, we've all got addictions, you know, and some people have got addictions because they have to have addictions because they've got to keep alive, whether they're antidepressants or whatever they are. There's alcohol addictions. There's some serious, you know, opiate addictions. You guys have been exposed to every addiction on the fucking planet where you guys are. But, you know, it's the same here. It's just not on a bigger scale, you know, and but things like that. And, you know, smoking dope, you know, I've spent most of my life smoking, you know, and a lot of the time I know as a smoker that, which is something I'd never talked about 5 years ago, but was that when I dream, I can't remember my dreams a lot of the time. They say if you're constantly stoned, you're in a permanent dream state. So I'm not too sure how much of that was actual inside of me when I was writing it, you know. So yeah, there's a lot of little. When I talk about the song and look at the song, I get a lot of different variations. But I think the most thing that I'm proud about that song is I think that it's relative to most people in some way, shape, or form. So, and I like to think that I sort of hit that spot a little bit, you know. So yeah, it's pretty deep seated, but I don't think it's any different than what most of us go through. It's just that I managed to put a little story together in 3 minutes that most people sort of went, oh yeah, fuck, that's me.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I love the track. I think it's great. And again, the one that turned me, you know, onto the band was Sideways. Mick and I were talking before we came on. I'm a huge fan of that song. I think that one is always going to be my favorite. It doesn't matter if you write Let It Be. Sideways is going to be my favorite track.
Wow.
Was there any, is that just, hey, let's have some fun, good rock and roll song, fast cars, or did somebody, who brought that to the table? I'm curious about how that came about.
Well, that was Mick's riff. Look, let's just put it on the table now straight away. Stonetrip would not be without that man there and his guitar, because he is the essence of it. So he's amazing. So, and he inspires me. He makes my writing process very, very simple in that sense. So, but yeah, the guitars are just, you know, the riffs, even in Nightmare, you know, as much as that song, the guitar solo in that song takes me to another planet, because it's just, I feel so connected with Mick when I do that. And we laugh about it now. Like, even on stage, I emulate it when he's doing a solo. I'm standing next to him like air guitar it, you know, because I'm just so into it. You know, I just love it. But nearly every song has got that Melusa guitar, beautiful solo, and unbelievable timing of riffs, and just that structure and dynamic that he manages to do it. I don't know how the fuck he does it, but it's
thank you,
unbelievable. Sir. But you know, you name them. Sideways, the solo is insane. Nightmare, the solo is insane. I don't know if you've had to listen to the solo in the show, but the solo in that just makes my hairs go up. You know, the solo in Angel, that make bang, 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 bang.
Yep.
And that's a big part of it. Like, if that wasn't there, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. So, you know, it's blessed be to the great Malou.
Oh,
you get a lot more credit.
Well,
I think
you gotta have the dude with the cool hair and the cop shades and the hat too. You know, so
He's a fucking rock star, mate. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Loves it.
Well,
Lives it.
my person, that's why all the hats, and I try to hide as behind guitars and sunglasses and hats, you know. But when we're out there on stage, mate, the job's got to be done. People have to be entertained. I want to entertain people, even regardless of my personality outside the band. You know, and
he's pretty quiet, Mick, believe it or not. He doesn't say too much, but when he gets on stage, he's a different animal. You know, I think we all are a little bit, but
everybody does that. Yep. At least I am.
But the thing is that when we play live, and I think it's one of the things that a lot of our fans like about us playing live, is that we don't pretend to be anything. You know, there's no specific moves that I make. There's no specific moves that Mick makes or any other of the band. We just play, and it's probably come down to a little bit of our past experience, and we've done it a lot, is that it's just all natural. You know, there's nothing there that goes, oh, yeah, make sure you do this. We've got to do that. That's there. You make sure you do. No. We just go and play, and I think the punters love it, you know, and you've got to be, for any young bands out there, just take note. You've got to be real to the people. Spend time with the people. Go and fucking say hello. You know, get your head out of your ass and just be blessed for what you're able to do, you know, and appreciate the people who put you there. So I'm pretty adamant about doing that, and not because I have to, because we want to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I always felt odd when a fan would come up and ask me to sign something. To this day, I still feel weird about that kind of stuff. But why wouldn't you sign that person's thing? They bought your product. They're a fan of your music.
Yeah,
shake their hand, say hello, and sign the dang CD. What's the big damn deal?
Yeah, man. That's what you're there for, you know. Like it's an interesting thing you touch on, Scotty, because I've just sort of started feeling a little bit, you know what I mean, just a little bit, because we're getting a lot more popular, and you know, I'm getting people coming up to me who know me who I don't know, which is a bizarre feeling in itself. But you know, you wouldn't want it any other way, you know. Sure, there's that little bit of almost humbleness that's there when you do meet a fan and someone who wants to talk to you, because there's that thing, you don't really know what to say, you know. But I think if you're just genuine and honest and thank the punter for coming and thank him for buying a T-shirt, and, you know, turn up next time and we'll have a beer, and it goes a long way, man. It goes a long way.
Absolutely. Because in the opposite way, if you act like an ass to a fan, you're going to just lose the fan, and probably more than just one.
Yeah, because the people talk, you know.
Yeah, and we've made sure there's no arseholes in this band. You know, everyone's totally vetted for being an arsehole. So, we're pretty strict on no arseholes in this band. So.
No egos, no arseholes.
Well, doesn't that sort of play off the whole family aspect of the band? And I mean, I was going to say that sounds very familiar, because Rob and I had a rare opportunity this weekend of actually attending a recording session of some guys, and he just met them. I've known them for 10 years, and the singer himself is going to be part of the family here, and who knows, maybe in a year or less, and maybe you guys can play a very special event, who knows. But it was interesting to know. In fact, Rob even noticed it. He said, you know, they were listening to some of the banter on stage while they were trying to come up with songs and encourage each other to really knock it out of the park. But there was an element of support for one another, like it would be in a family, and there was no sniping, and there was no BS. It was just heartfelt, genuine care and love for each other, and they have a rare opportunity to really put something out there and they've been waiting 10 years to do a recording, a proper recording, and
Wow.
and they've got a rare opportunity with two of the titans in music, and wow, what a difference it makes when there's no infighting. Or I see it all the time. I mean, I've driven for bands. I've attended hundreds of shows, and you always tell the bands that are really, really good is that they click one with another. Each member is important in their own kind of way. It's a real team concept. And not everybody can play the guitar. Not everybody can sing. Not everybody can whack on the drums like Con. But it seems like you have a symbiosis because you're a family and you all have a specific role.
Well, yeah, that's 100%. You know what we do? We get excited about each other's ideas. Because if we're bringing ideas to the table in a rehearsal room or wherever it is, there's an intent there, that the band's all excited. They want to get their ideas across. And I know, and everybody knows that, there's nothing worse than having an idea and just having it not listened to. So it's just all brushed off and, we'll listen to it later. We don't do that, So if somebody comes up with an idea, we're excited about it, and it's encouraging. So it's a good thing to be able to do that. But what you've got to do is have this little thing called respect. And you've got to have this other thing called patience, and let the person get the idea across. Give them a couple of minutes or 3 minutes to play the riff or to sing the melody or to play the drum beat, and let it get across, and treat it with some respect, And like we were talking before about Run Free, the title track off the album, that song, Jason, our guitarist, came up with that riff, which Mick will tell you he's spewing on. But anyway, that's how it is. But that came about because we said, all right, because Mick and I predominantly write. Mick brings a riff, and come over, I'll write melody, and we'll do it, and then we'll take it from there. But this particular time, we decided that, let's get the band together and we'll have a writing session, because we hadn't done that before. And so we organised to go over to Jason's, our guitarist, our newest guitarist, to his house. And Mick went over, I went over, and Sebastian went over. Con couldn't make it. But the four of us sat there, and Jace was just twanging around on his guitar, this sort of... Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, it was just a bluesy feel riff.
And then...
Because I felt it straight away that this is cool.
Yeah,
but it's slow. It's and it's just felt good. Yeah.
And the point I was trying to make is that if there was an ego in that room that night, well, there's potential for problem. You know what I mean? Because Mick and I are the predominant writers. It would have been this. I've gone, no, mate, that's all good. Yeah, but we fucking write the songs. And we don't do that. You know what I mean? We were open to it, and we let it do its thing, and it naturally progressed to. Well, it's probably my favourite song on the album, next to I Am Tomorrow, which I've got a bit of a thing for. I love that tune.
Oh, that song. Yes.
Yeah, but, that's the beauty of family. That's the beauty of allowing someone to have an opinion and an idea and giving it a run instead of going, yeah, that was good, mate.
You never know, though. One of these days you may have to, beat someone down after they give you an idea. Like I always wondered about when Joe Elliott came into Def Leppard and brought the lyrics, "I'm hot, sticky, sweet from my head to my feet." Why did the rest of the band just beat the crap out of him at that point and just, dude, we're not playing that.
Well, it's like me in I think it's Runaway.
This is the reason why, Scott.
Oh yeah, I
This is
know. But
when you start making, when your desire is to make money and not necessarily music, there's a real line that you have to cross in order to make that happen. And sometimes you have to be sticky sweet in order to do that.
Sometimes stupid lines are stupid lines, like we've got one in Runaway where it's, day is breaking. Is that a cake you're baking?
Is that a cake you're baking? Yes, I love that.
Yeah, but that's funny.
You're baking.
When he was singing that in the studio, because I didn't know the lyric, and when we were recording, me and the producer turned around and go, "What the fuck? What was he saying?" And it was so cool that we go, "Mate, that's great. That's really cool."
Yep. It certainly gets your attention, The first time I heard it, I kind of had a giggle at it too. Day is breaking. Is that a cake you're baking? That was good. And then of course I overanalyzed it. I was like, what does he mean? Am I missing something? No.
Well, it's just, it's pretty much the concept you blew in the night before,
Yeah.
So, you get up the next day and it's like, oh yeah, day's breaking. Is that a cake you're baking? What are you fucking baking that for?
Oh man, it's a great album. Tell us, Scott being the artist on the show, he was going to ask you something about the cover art.
Yeah, I just wanted to know. It's a really nice looking cover. Who designed it and who came up with the idea, the concept, and all that kind of thing. And I'm talking about the, obviously the new full length album, not the EP, since the EP is just your logo. But that's it.
Yeah, there it is.
I didn't know you
Can't
had that.
wait. I can't wait.
So who was did the band come up with that design, or did you guys Golden Robot Records? Did you guys come up with the idea? Was it the label or?
No, Ian, Reddy, you can tell about that one, Mickey.
Oh no, you can say you always talk.
So Ian Ritter is one of the best photographers, band artists, designers in Melbourne. He's done some amazing stuff. He just done the artwork for the Answers album as well. So he's unbelievable. But we just put a concept to him. I sort of said when I came up with Run Free, I wanted to do a sort of a clip for it, which I still want to do eventually. But that song kind of was, it's a bit deep, but there's always a separation between our Indigenous people here, our Aboriginal people, and white Australia. It's similar, but it's not the same as what happens over there. But it was kind of every Indigenous bands over here are huge and they're great and there's some unbelievable talent. But everything I've never heard like an Indigenous song like from a band that hasn't got a didgeridoo in it, or it hasn't got that click 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 as a reference to that this is an Indigenous thing, right? I wanted to do something where it didn't matter. It didn't matter. So like we had this idea that I was singing Run Free, like almost just on a cliff face, I remember once this world was such a charming place, and singing that and just sort of looking out over it. And when the band comes in, I had this idea of like this Indigenous sort of group of people coming past, digging the tune without the didgeridoo in it, without that reference to Indigenous. It was just a good thing where, and why can't we all just run free, break away and leave it for another day, And I sort of put that concept to Ian, our artist, and he ran with that and kind of came up with that concept of, just running away from it all, and this futuristic kind of thing. And he did his thing with it. And as soon as he presented it to us, we just went, wow, how good's that? And he came up with some really good imagery. When you see the whole concept for the album art, it'll blow your mind. It's just amazing. So
I can't wait. I'm giddy.
Yeah,
You're
it's full golded for the pull out lyrics, the whole shebang. But I'm really proud of it because for me as a writer, my lyrics are in there. You know, everything I've written, my heart, my soul, my angel, the lyrics to that I wrote about my mother, you know, all the other stuff and the content about past relationships and all that. It's kind of like a journal to me, you know, and I've got that now. It's I can pull that out and go, fuck, man, I wrote that, and it's my proudest moment, you know. So for whatever it is, that's almost enough for me, you know. And if I get the opportunity, and Mick and I and the band get the opportunity to do that again, bigger and better, and do 25 albums, well, mate, I've got the pen. You know, I've got a lot of fun. I've got a lot of fucking stories. So, you know.
That's awesome. Yeah, my Angel, I think, was great. I love the artwork that came. I think the 7-inch came with the artwork, or is it in the CD? I don't remember.
In the EP. Yeah.
Being the EP.
A friend of mine designed that.
Yeah, this is really, really cool. For those of you who haven't seen it.
Yeah, my buddy, personal friend of mine, Tony the Shark Mifsud, did that for me. I just said, because he actually knew my mother as well, and he loves Mick's playing because he's a guitarist as well. So it just that's actually a pretty close interpretation of Mick's guitar that he uses. So, but yeah, it just came out, and he just drew it, and as soon as we seen it, he hand drew it too. It's all hand drawn. I've got the original color pencil drawing of it, which is amazing. So yeah, it was really cool. But that song just still now, Mick and I have trouble playing it. You know,
very hard to play live, My Angel, without crying. There's been some gigs where I have to kind of bite my tongue, you know. So tears, you know, it's just to hold back tears from what that song's actually about, and you know, so yeah, it's very hard to play.
It was hard the other week actually, because the last gig we did, it was my mum's anniversary of her passing. It was like 10 years, and I had it in my head, and I introduced the song. I usually tell a bit of a story about it, and I had to fucking lost it. So yeah. That's all good. Here we go.
Yeah. Right. No, I knew that one must have been very personal the first time I heard it, and I love it. It's a great killer ballad, and one of the comparisons that I've drawn to the band with another band, and I'm not comparing you to this band other than some of the formula can be similar, and that's Great White. There are a couple things that I really like about Great White. First of all, like Mick, you said earlier, the different flavors of guitar. Two guys doing two different things that complement each other. So when I heard this record, I felt like I was like, man, if Great White made a record these days, and I don't mean a hair metal album and all that, you know.
Yeah.
But I was like, I get that, the double guitars, but also one of the things that I really love is Jack Russell's voice, and you've got a very unique voice, you know, Richo, but the heartfelt lyrics. I love the roller coaster. We're going to kick off the album rocking. We're going to hit you with a ballad. We're going to kind of psych out a little bit, and then we're going to bludgeon you toward the end with a really heavy song. I love the roller coaster, the emotional roller coaster ride of the album. And I think the lyrics complement the music so well. And I just think you guys put out a masterpiece. 10 out of 10, 2 thumbs up from Rob right here.
Well, I'll tell you something about that, actually. When we finished the album and we got the masters from Ricky at the studio, Mick came over to my place and we said, well, let's have a listen to this thing, you know. And Mick wrote the track order. Mick had the idea for the track order, which is an amazing track order. I think I did my order and Mick did his, and I looked at Mick's and I went, no, that's it. So again, no egos, you know, it was just bang, that's the one, you know. So, and we went with that, and we sat down on my couch and listened to it for the first time, and both of us we didn't say a word. and both of us were really emotional. And I think if we nearly started to cry, but we were too tough to do that. But it was quite the moment for us, and that's when we kind of realised, we went, "Fuck, man! No matter what, this is a great legacy. It's a great record, and let's enjoy it and let's try and get it to where it deserves to go." And it's just been an amazing experience for us.
Yeah, track order is really important too. Like when we've recorded the songs, it's always been 3 songs, there, and then 4 songs. You never kind of hear it in a like a whole context from start to finish. And it blew us away, when we did that order. And it's just so different to hear than, you're working on these 3 tracks for this month, and it's just it kind of come together really well. I think it tells a really great story. And you're right, Rob. We belch first, with some good, kind of rocky stuff, and then bring it down a bit and muck around in the middle, and then kick your ass at the end of it. So it's kind of cool. Yeah.
Well, the idea was to have the combination of some awesome artwork. And think vinyl in a record shop, that's kind of where we the ultimate sort of test is, to have that album in a record bin. The punter sees the album because it pops, it stands out. They keep up the album if they're lucky enough to buy it. The next thing we thought, well, let's make track 1 blow their fucking head off. Right. So I like to think we kind of achieved that. So, and hopefully it does what it does, So, and has that effect that it had on us, because it's pretty rare, I think, that you find an album now and it's easy for us because it's our album, but where you find an album where you can listen from track 1 and let the whole album go, and listen to the whole album without skipping a track because you're just too much into it. Right. That's what we were trying to aim for. So there's just when you think you've had enough, it's like, oh fuck, what's this?
So speaking of a physical copy, I mean, what are we looking at? I know that that vinyl runs way, way, way behind, but see, what you're describing is the way I used to shop for records when I was a kid, and I would see something that had that punched me right in the jibs, and then I thought, I wonder if it's as good as the cover, and then at some points it didn't matter. I remember back early in the hard rock and metal scene, it almost didn't matter. The cover got you on the doorstep, and you buying the record got you in the door, and more often than not, it was as good as the cover. That was the whole key. So to your point, I like the idea of going to a record shop, and I could see something like that, and I would be immediately drawn to it just because of the graphic nature of it. And of course, I do a little of that on the side too, trying to figure out what will attract people, because I think shopping has become so sterile. Everyone's just on the internet, and man, I like to hold that thing, and the majesty of a record beats the heck out of this, where you're looking at it, on the side of the palm of your hand. So I'm sorry, I'm still old school. I would prefer it on vinyl, and if the download card comes with it, great. But so what time are we? What's our time frame realistically? I mean, 3 months, 6 months?
Yeah, realistically, probably, where are we? April, May, probably June. I'd reckon towards the end. The last report I got there was like 12-week backlog on vinyl. Look, if we could have it out tomorrow, we would. We're so excited, and we've had so many requests for it. That's the frustrating thing for us. That's why we've put a rush on the run for the CD. So at least when we do the launch, we've got a product for the punters and the fans, to give them, which everyone's asking for. But realistically, probably the album, I'd say mid-June, towards the end of June.
Actually,
so
that's
not too long
for us. Hey,
is the CD available to order now?
End of the month, I think. Isn't that what you said, Richo?
The 30th. So where are we today?
The 21st already.
Yeah, so we'll send you one anyway. We'll send a couple over to you.
I'll still buy the vinyl, but thank you.
Yeah, buy the vinyl.
Yeah,
I'm still buying tapes for crying out loud. So
yeah, I'm not sure about, to answer your question, Scotty, I'm not sure about the pre-save setup, whether the physical CD at the moment online, whether it's available. We're actually just trying to swap over our merch store and get it to a bit more of a wider audience merch store. So we're not too sure at the moment, but definitely we'll have the physical copy of the CD on the 30th available to purchase, so we can ship them out and do whatever we need to do for whoever wants one.
Cool.
Yes.
And
Awesome. I can't wait.
What's the website for other people watching? And we'll put a link below too. But
is it stonetrip.band.com, Mick?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
stonetrip.band.com. That's
Cool.
our
And we'll
website.
put-
That's stonetrip.band.com.
At the
Pretty
beginning
sure
of the
that's
show,
what
I
it
put up the Facebook link, so I will go to that one. Say it again, Richo.
It's Stonetrip. Hang on, I'll just make sure.
.band.com.
Yeah, .band.com.
Okay, I'll put that in the comments so everybody can
Cool.
see it.
Yeah, that's it. It's Stonetrip. Sorry, my bad. Stonetrip.band@gmail.com.
That's the email.
that's the
That's
email.
the email
Oh,
address.
that's the email. Sorry. The web address is stonetrip.com. Stonetrip.band.com. I'm sure. You can tell that I am the.
I bet if you Google Stone Trip, you'll find
You
your
tell
way
me what
somehow.
I'm doing.
Hang on. Yeah, let me do. It doesn't like stonetrip.band.com.
Yeah, with Con, if you're watching.
Come on, help! Hey, speaking of the graphic nature of things, man, I love that the logo for Stone Trip with the little dip in the middle is so simple, yet it's like unlike anything else. And when I drew the space girl, the sideways space girl, and noticed she's looking sideways, and that was the whole purpose of her looking sideways. But
How did
everyone
I
said,
not know that until right now?
I don't know. I got to pay attention around here because I always sneak little things into my drawings. And if
That's
you look
unreal.
at it long enough, you'll say, hey, wait a minute. I didn't see that before. But people were asking me all the time, wow, that's a cool logo. Did you do that? And I said, I wish I could say I did, but I didn't. I just did the girl. And they'd go, oh, but that's such a cool logo. So anyway, so how did that come about? Because that's almost that I would almost believe that was sort of a quote unquote mistake. Like, maybe someone was just kind of messing with it and then it just happened to do that or whatever, but maybe it's by nature. Anyway.
Oh, we just had this vibe on a psychedelic kind of old school 70s big, how we used to ride at school,
Right.
when you thought you could do grouse riding, So I just had that. So we had that in our head with that old school sort of psychedelic.
So like it's moving rather than.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And
Yeah, that's come up with that design, and he presented it to us, and we just go, "Yep, that's it."
Yeah.
So yeah,
Pretty much.
responsible.
We sort of just gave him a couple of ingredients, and he drew that. Then it just came up really well. Yeah, it's really cool. There's something about it, isn't there? It's so simple, but there's just something about it. I don't know what it is. It just looks
no.
cool.
It almost looks like it's moving towards you or away from you, or maybe towards you and away from you at the same time.
Yeah.
If you smoked enough pot, you probably look straight.
Yeah.
So Fraser's got a couple questions for you guys. Fraser's one of our every single time we're on, he listens, and we appreciate him very much. I'm going to hit his questions if you guys don't mind answering a couple of questions.
Cool.
Who are your influences?
Oh, well, mine comes from a lot of 70s bands and 60s bands. One being, I'm a mad Led Zeppelin fan. Thin Lizzy.
Oh, yeah.
All them cats, from back then. Deep Purple. That's where I'm from,
Yeah.
And then later on,
what do you think about the new Purple albums?
I haven't heard much of it at this stage, but no, I don't know. I haven't heard that. I'm the old stuff. I love the old stuff.
Their new ones, man. Infinite and Whoosh.
It'd only be better, wouldn't it?
The two new ones are aces, man. They're so
I gotta check it out.
They're pretty good. I don't think that Purple's ever put out a bad record, but
yeah.
That's just my opinion.
They're too good to put out a bad record.
Yeah.
So my influences would have been probably Zeppelin, a lot of Robert Plant. He's, to me, an amazing phraser in his day. The E and A singing, it really is kind of where I come from. It sits comfortable for me. But probably my greatest influence in probably Paul Rogers, Free, Bad Company. Just what that man can do. I think I've said it before. He's like the Sinatra of rock and roll. That man.
Yeah,
he's unbelievable. So
agreed.
A lot of that. A lot of Aussie band influences. Cold Chisel, a few other ones. Matt Finish, which was a great Aussie band back in the sort of 80s and 90s around Australia. A lot of blues-based stuff, sort of that sort of thing. But yeah, probably Free, Bad Company, Led Zeppelin, and of course, lyrically and melodically, I'd probably draw a lot from the great Neil Peart and Rush, which I wouldn't put myself in anywhere near that category, by the way. But in terms of just being daring enough to write differently, I got a lot of that from Neil. You know, just it's fascinating how you can put a 9-letter word into a song line and give it melody. Fascinating.
Well, you might as well shoot for the stars. That's top shelf right there.
Yeah, like in Leave a Light On, you were so exceptional. You laugh at my denial. You know, some of the words in those are bigger words. They're not your 3, 4, 5-letter words. So you have to think a little bit more about making those work, which I find fascinating, which is that Mr. Peart was the master at. But but they're pretty. I think Mick and I's influences are pretty similar. I know Mick was a big Gary Moore fan as well.
Yeah.
Who are you guys jamming on right now?
Well, us.
Stonetrip.
Yeah, me too.
I'm listening to a band at the moment called Trip the Witch, and that's a guitarist from Stone Temple Pilots and Tom Bukovac, who's a big session guy in Nashville. Mate,
Okay.
I love that shit. And it's got nothing to do with heavy rock or anything, but just the music is fucking amazing. You know, I just love it. I really dig it.
I just
Dirty Honey, Rival Sons, those bands, they're pretty good at what they do as well out there with sort of Black Crows, those sorts of things. We love the Black Crows, Mick and I. We were mad on the Black Crows. If you listen to Leave a Light On hard enough, you might hear a bit of an influence in that.
Right. Okay, so Richo, we've got a question for you. This might be a little bit of an inside question here, but we need an answer.
Steve-O. That's my mate Steve-O, who's a prick.
Can we get some clarification on that?
Yeah, let's have it.
Sure. That's because I'm just an absolute impeccable specimen of a man, and he's an arsehole because I'm not really an impeccable specimen as a man. I'll get you, Steve-O, you bastard.
Perfect. I love it.
There you go. Gun show. Welcome to Texas.
That's right.
No guns here.
Yeah, boy. You can shake a tree and a fucking gun falls out over here. A whole other episode.
Wow.
Well,
Especially in Texas, where you guys are from.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah,
we can't believe it. I'll tell you, it's a couple of Aussies. We just scratch our heads.
When we have beers one day, we'll talk about all that.
Well, you get to the States and I'll take you shooting over at the local shooting range. I got plenty to go around.
Well, we've got a couple more minutes. Anything you guys want to shout out or talk about touring or Carcass or Scott? You want to take any parting shots before we let these guys go?
I would never take a parting shot at you, Rob. Not in front of our guests, anyway.
Well, I've never shot a gun before in my life. There you go.
Well, I can teach you some basic safety items and put the earphones on and point downrange, and you'd have a good time, I bet.
Yeah, I'd love to do it as long as I'm not shooting anything that moves or breathes. I'll be good.
No, I think we'll put all the targets nice and stationary for you.
Awesome.
Cool.
So
yeah, with the tour, and we're just hoping, guys, that we can, and again, with the likes of what you guys do for us, and what a lot of other people are sort of starting to share the love a little bit. We're just trying to build up a bit of a basis of where we should go first, when viability, just working out some costs and stuff like that, and just make the whole thing work, you know. So yeah, hopefully, we're probably looking after, once the vinyl comes out, I think that'd be the time to sort of strike sort of July, August, around there somewhere.
Yeah.
Not sure what the weather's like over there at that time of the year, but
brutally hot.
Yeah.
no, that's
Come
all right. We
down,
like hot.
fuck the rest of it. Just
Hot's
come
all
here.
right.
Well, we've already got
Yeah.
the Fort Worth gig planned. We could do
Yeah.
a warm
Well,
up
that's
show in my
that.
living room, and then we could go to one of our local hangouts, maybe the Rail or the Poor Shack, and have Iron Jaw, Creeper, Stonetrip as the headliner.
Oh my
We're
There
god.
you go. That'd be a
Oh,
great
well,
show.
Aska.
Oh, that
Sounds
would be
great.
fun.
Hellstar.
Hellstar. So that's
See?
Houston. See, we've got you covered in Texas.
Yeah.
Cool,
Wait.
man.
You could do at least 5 or 6 dates here in Texas easily.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh. You can
All
do
right.
a week.
So we're gonna have to do some negotiations, Mick, with our management, I think.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, we'll get
Guitar
right.
Sanctuary.
I can't wait to get there.
Yeah.
Oh
it'll
my
be fun.
gosh. I can't wait. It would be lovely to meet you guys and hang out.
I know.
Yeah.
I know it's a ton of money to get here, but man, I think that it would do, if it's at all possible. I don't know what we could do to help, but man, it would be a real honor to see you guys play live. Maybe
Yeah,
we'll have to come down there.
Yeah,
knows?
it'll happen. It'll happen.
Yeah, it'll happen. Don't worry, it'll happen. We just got to get the logistics right.
Yeah.
And we'll get there. We're keen to get there. So we like I said, we're determined to take it as far as it's possible, and you know, we just don't want to leave any stone unturned. You know, we want to get to where we want to get to, and just give it back to everyone who's helped us get where we are. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Gosh, it must have been at least 10 years ago, but I booked a band from Melbourne called Belligerent Intent, and a guy named Squiz Squires was playing guitar, and Matt Willingham, and and they were such nice guys, but I think they were here more on vacation, and they just decided to play a few gigs while they were at it, because they all brought their significant others with them, and it was really fun. And
Cool.
and then they made it a regular stop. So I don't know. Maybe you can be on holiday and just play a couple of shows. Who knows?
Yeah.
I
There'll be
can
no
back my
significant
new,
others. I'll
that's
give
for
you the
sure.
mail.
Yeah.
It'll just be
So.
the 5 lads. And
Yeah,
no significant others.
the lads. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, boys' night out in Texas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Sounds great.
Sounds like a week.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Well, let's wrap it up. I want to let everybody know you can follow me on Instagram at Metal Robs Records, where I will whip your ass by trying to sell you records, tapes, and CDs. You can follow Carcass John on Instagram at Carcass John Art. You can find the lovely and talented Scott Waters by just going to YouTube and simply searching Scott Waters. And Stonetrip, if you just Google Stonetrip, you're going to get everything. But in the comments, I've put links to the Facebook page. I put links to their page on the Golden Robot Records site. I put a link to their link tree where you can find videos and all sorts of good stuff. So I'm going to geek out one more time. I still can't believe that Mick Malusa rang my phone the other day. I'm pretty fired up about that. I can't believe the album is finally out. I can't believe I got it in advance. And I can't believe that a couple of years ago, I got that MP3 dropped in my email box, and here we are. So I
Yes,
couldn't
and
be happier that you guys came on.
And I have to
Thank you so much.
I stand corrected from our fellow Melbourne resident, Mark Chaos Massacre. It was Cemetery Urn, not Belligerent Intent, but the same group of guys, same drummer, and Squiz, who's a maniac. I guess he plays in King Parrot right now, but super good guys, and it was great to anyway. But yep, I'm gonna geek out too. This is pretty cool, pretty special.
Awesome.
If I can use that I know that word gets overused, but
Yeah.
so whatever we can do, you got a Texas stop on your plate at some point in time.
Sure.
Thanks so much
We'll
for
come
having us,
and
guys. Lovely to
give you
meet
the
you.
full Aussie bang. Here you go, knackers.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Richo and Mick, for coming on the show. We appreciate it very much. Before I hit the outro, you boys know how we do it. Until next time, metal
Metal
will prevail.
prevail. Then we give the evil eye.
Yes, evil eye. My eye.
Thanks.
Here we go.